have a passion for advocacy, I think they'd be really great on the advocacy committee. So that would be helpful. And there is a part with new clubs. We don't really have any new clubs at the present time, but we do have, Sheena is formulating a membership committee to assist her with membership. And we also have a SOM, which is sponsoring, organizing, and mentoring chair. And that is Joanne Raymond that will also be working with the membership. Anybody have any questions? It's just with clubs of concern, I had some issues today with the club, and it's just very important that when you visit the clubs or you have your president's meetings, that you encourage them to notify you as area director if they are having any membership problems or any conflict problems. And then you will also notify Sheena and myself, because people have a fear that they don't want district officers to know if their clubs are struggling. And we've had 2 instances in the past week where they're not alone. They're not the only one that are having the same struggles or same issues. And it's hard for them to speak more to membership chair a lot, because they know they're the lieutenant governor, than an area director that is in contact with them monthly. So just encourage them. They're not alone. It has nothing to do, I mean, we know that it has nothing to do how you see their clubs or them as members, but they just they struggle with that they don't want the district board to know that they're struggling. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help them.
Janice, I just have a question about the annual report that the presidents do. Is that a new report?
The one that was just completed for this biennium? You mean for
no,
the one
that's in the,
yeah,
the one that's in the stuff you sent to us?
It is. It's something that I put in there. It's not new to Zonta International. It's just a format to be able to use. We all give reports at the end. We give the annual report, and then they're presented at the May board meeting. But I put it in a format just as a guideline, so those questions and stuff that are answered, kind of, if you can just fill them in. You don't have to write your paragraph, or it's not a big formal report. They may change if it's not working or we decide to do it another way, but that is a format just so we can use to, just as a format to help you. We all did the annual reports.
Yeah, it's the annual president's report, because as president, I haven't done that in the last 2 years, so I just assumed that's a new form.
It is a new form. It's a different form. Like I've received from certain clubs in the last couple of weeks their annual club report that they've written up for the area director.
Okay,
you might not have done it because Brenda's your area director. She
maybe she did it. I don't know, but I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if I may, Janice, step in and just say something as a past president and area director. The area director kind of comes to the end of the year, and you're kind of combining everything that's been said and done in the past year that you've heard from or the clubs reported on. So this is just a way, I think, for making things easier for Janice, because she has to report to Zonta International about what we're doing. And so that's just that report, annual report for our presidents to come to you is kind of an easy way and a synopsis to make, I think, your life easier as area directors, and to in turn make Janice's job a little easier by having it a condensed form, as opposed to an area director having to go through all the past reports and kind of come up with a synopsis of what's happened in the past. Does that make sense, Janice?
Yes. Yeah. Part of the area directors are the spring workshops and conferences, which we can get back into. It's a little later in, and to attend the district board meetings that I've mentioned. And your vice area director can fill in if you have one and you're not able to be there. The next is tools and supplies. The district supplies each area director with your name badge and business cards. I will be sending out to you a form of how you want your business cards to be. Some people put their phone numbers. I'll give you a couple of samples that you can look at it. Some have their phone numbers, some have their personal email. I'll give you different samples of how you can do it. On mine, I couldn't find mine. That's pretty bad, but I couldn't find them. They're downstairs. Then I forgot about them. But I have my Zonta email. My email that I use, jdurmis09, is my Zonta email. So it's only Zonta that uses that email. So I do use that on my business, on my cards, just so it's easier for people to use it. We'll also get your area director PIN. The district provides that too. And then there's the district reports, in-kind giving. The reimbursement forms, there's the special form, the D4 expense reimbursement form. Those are used when you, for example, will go to a board meeting. Any expenses that you incur, your traveling, your mileage is, you document your mileage. If you have any expenses as toll roads, going across bridges or whatever, you can put that in there too. And then what we usually do is, if you're, example, the May board meeting, you would turn in your expenses. The governor signs the meeting, signs and verifies and says it's okay. The treasurer will write you a check, and you will have your expenses the same day, is what we try to do. You do have 90 days to fill out the expenses form and turn it in. It needs to go to myself first for signature, and then it would go to the treasurer. So she would be the one, Nancy, to write your check. We request that all expenses be submitted by May 15th. And that's just to help closing of the books on May 31st. And so they're closed by the end of the year, and then a new year would start. Also, with the reimbursable expenses, you have your travel is 0.315 cents US per mile is the IRS. When we attend conference registration in hotel rooms, you are reimbursed for 1/2 occupancy. So half of your room would be paid for, but you need to, you pay, you sign up, you register, you pay for the hotel, for your registration fees, and then the district reimburses you for those fees. And if you travel to an area, to a club, you're visiting a club, the host club is usually responsible for putting you up in a hotel if you need to stay overnight. A lot of times they will ask if you want to stay in someone's home, a member's home. That is up to you. If you feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. It's a great way to get to know other members in Zonta, but if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay too. And a hotel's fine. We do ask that any expenses that you incur, but you don't want to charge the district, that you would just please write in kind and still turn them in, just so we have a better idea of our district operations and how much money we actually have spent. Even though they're in kind, that still is nice to look at with the budget to be able to do the next biennium's budget. Anybody have any questions?
No.
Just one thing, Mary, we're getting a lot of static from you. I was just wondering if you could mute your mic. That would be wonderful. And by the way, we're seeing a lot of the ceiling around you. A little bit more, come on. There you go, thanks. I know you're cursing me but your mic's off, so I don't hear you. Sorry, thanks. Sorry, Janice.
No, I was writing near the phone. That's probably what it was picking up.
Okay. So again, ladies, if you are kind of writing or something like that, we are kind of picking up some of the sounds. So just I appreciate if you can mic yourself, that's great.
You can go to the next slide. With the District 4 board meetings, in your manual, I have when board meetings will be held. Those are tentative dates. It starts off with the board retreat, and then we do have a board meeting that first September 20th. They're usually every 2 months, and it says which ones are. I'd still like to meet face-to-face if we're able to. I think sometimes it helps just seeing everybody across the table, body language, everybody getting to discuss and be able to have their say. Sometimes that's easier face-to-face. I personally find it easier face-to-face than online, but there are some online meetings, and like the January one, of course, because of our wonderful winter weather. But there is one extra that I did put in there that's hasn't been in there, is in August 2021, I did a pre-conference meeting just to get on page with our conference for 2021 that is in Erie, Pennsylvania. I know that the conference committee did meet this past, I think it was in the beginning of September. They did meet as a final just to make sure that all plans and things were made for conference. But I did put that in so we can kind of go through things as a board and make sure that we're all on the same page and that everything's covered and completed. So that meeting. There's a time for board meetings. You will be sent out the agenda, the meeting location and the times, and if there's any special instructions where to, what we need to do, where we need to meet. Right now, I have it that we will go to Deauville, where we are currently meeting for our Buffalo meetings. It seems pretty central. It seems easy to get across the border, and you're right there at the college. So that seems to be a good place. There is a board template to use in the manual to use for board meetings. And we do use that currently. I have the report dates. They're usually 2 weeks prior. So they will go sent to communications and myself. They're done 2 weeks prior, then they're put online for all the committee chairs and ADs to read all the reports for the consent agenda. And they are password protected. And when we change over in July, that password will change, and the board and committee chairs are the only ones that will have that password. And we will let you know when that is. I think the next slide, Sheena, president's meeting. Is that one of them? Okay. The key to success is our relationships and area director relationships with their presidents and their clubs. The purpose to have your president's meetings are just a lot of it is to share information, what is happening in the district, what is happening in Zonta International, to answer the club questions. It gives them time also as presidents to talk about any issues that they have, that they are having in their clubs. And a lot of times they're not the only ones that have the same issues as you're aware of. So it gives them a place to be able to relate and to do some help with themselves. And it also helps develop common goals, and just to remind them that the forms and manuals are there for their use, and that the district is there for to help them. It just went out my head what I was going to say. I was going to say something else and I can't remember now. There's just a whole list of content to help with the president's meetings that you can review. It's pretty self-explanatory. The next part is the area director newsletter and calendar. You want to move it, Sheena? The next one. The newsletters and updates to the presidents, it's just to update them throughout the year. A lot of the area directors this past year have done their presidents' meetings online. They've sent their newsletters, obviously online. It depends on how you want to conduct your area director, how you want to notify them, how you want to have your meetings. That's up to you and what your club likes. Some of the areas, they do like to meet in person. Other ones, they've done everything online. And this is just a short little calendar that just tells you, gives you an idea when to, what needs to be done in which month. Usually, as an area director, you wait for the updates and from the district and Zonta International, and usually the president's meetings are done after the board meeting, just so you can give them any updates, and then they'll be in contact with you to get your information. You will have to notify them as presidents prior to your board report. They're usually 2 weeks ahead for the presidents to notify you, to give you the information you need for your board report. And if you do newsletters, it's very helpful. You give them to all club presidents in your area. Please give to the district, to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and you can give the treasurer, secretary, and parliamentarian too. And just to give it to the other area directors, a lot of it is for the area directors. What's going on in your clubs, fundraisers, things that you would like people to go to encourage the district to work with each other and visit and to participate in their events. So if the other area directors know, then they can also let their clubs know that hey, you're having a bowling fundraiser, or you're having a film festival, or something that you want other people in the district to attend. So the best way to do that is to notify the elected board and, you know, all the area directors, so they will know the information too. Okay, the next slide, club visits. Like I had said before, it is important to meet and visit your clubs annually. Sometimes that is difficult, where clubs won't invite you. They don't want the area director to know what they're doing. That sounds harsh, but it's reality with some clubs. You know, if they're afraid, if they're doing something that we're not going to approve, which, you know, it's not true, but you know, clubs feel that way when the district, they feel they're kind of under a microscope. But it's important that you reach out to visit each club, just so you have an idea what's going on. And you'll find too that you can visit their fundraisers, you can participate in those, you can go as a group, encourage people in other clubs to visit, and you'll be going more than one time a year. And it is a neat way to visit everybody. When you go for their program, they may ask you to do participate as the speaker. I would advise you to make sure with the president, or if it's membership that contacts you, who contacts and sets up that meeting with you, make sure that you ask them what they want you to speak on, so you're not there and surprised that they want you to speak on one subject and you thought you were just giving an overview of Zonta, and they want you to talk about the biennium service project, or so just make sure that you know what you're to speak on. The club is responsible financially for the area director's meal, and mileage will be paid by the district. You'll use your reimbursement form, so you can, when you visit clubs, you can put your mileage and any other fees for travel fees that you have will be reimbursed by the district. One of the things that's very important is under here for club visits is the protocol manual. And just to ensure that the president is aware of the manual and its content. And it is available on our website as Zonta International's website. Just so they have the proper protocol when you visit as a club. And then just as a follow-up, which we know to do. There's also the club installation ceremonies. There's the induction of the new members and installation of officers. And then there is also the candle ceremonies. This spring, clubs are doing their installation and inductions online. I have one in the next 2 weeks, one each in the next 2 weeks. So next week will be interesting. I like the candle ceremony personally, so it will be interesting to see how that will work virtually. But it will work. Just so I don't set any papers on fire around my computer or anything, will be okay. But you know, it's a different time, different situation. But those are always exciting to do the installation and inductions for clubs. That's one of my favorite things to do as an area director. Anybody have any questions?
No.
The Zonta International District 4 Conference, I think it's the next slide, Sheena. There is a board meeting immediately after the conference is completed on Sunday. As of right now, the schedule remains the same as it has been in the past, where it will be a Thursday evening with the international director, like cocktail type party, and then conference will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. As of right now, we've left the same schedule. And then when the conference is completed, the board meeting is immediately after. So it's a lunch meeting. Lunch is provided, and then the international director reviews our conference and critiques the conference for us. And then we do any business that needs to be taken care of at that time. And with the review, with the reservations, and at the hotel, you make your own reservations for conference. You make your own, you register for conference, and then you are reimbursed. You're reimbursed for your mileage to get to the conference because we have a board meeting. So then that will all go in your reimbursement form. But you have to do it first, and then the district reimburses you. As part of the conference program book, area reports will be, you will be asked to complete an area report on each of your clubs. We also are, there's a PowerPoint presentation that will highlight your club's achievements will be done. And what that is it will be a pictures. You can get them from your clubs or pictures that you have taken or taken online, take them offline, where they post them on Facebook or, and those will be rolling. We will use those pictures when you do your awards, but then we will also have them throughout the conference. So you'll be able, so clubs will be able to see themselves. It can be, you know, if they're at a fundraiser, any of their fundraisers, any of their installations, award ceremonies, anything that the clubs do. And especially if you go just to get pictures of all the different members in our district, and then those will be on this screen. And we have that set that those would be 2 weeks prior to conference, that those would be due. The awards, it's a history with the District 4 is to have the area director have awards for her clubs in service, advocacy, and membership. So when you start meeting your clubs, you could have a club that has a great service project, and you might want to give them the service award. Also with advocacy and membership. You will present the certificates to the area directors. You will present them to the clubs at district conference. There will be a deadline when those are due. Those will most likely be due in August. We have some time for that, so I don't have a specific date, but those will kind of be due in August, and you will send me the names, and then we will have those certificates, and I will have them available to you at conference. We will work together on certain aspects of the District 4 conference. Diane Balaban is the conference chair. She has been in contact. I have been with her. We have looked at places in Erie, Pennsylvania, where the conference will be held, and we have decided on a hotel room. A hotel and conference centers connected to this area. There's free parking at the conference hotel. The conference center is attached to 2 hotels. So they would go between the Hilton and the Marriott, and they're all attached. So you don't have to go outside to for the conference. But that's where it will be. She's got some ideas and things that that we will do and work on, but we will also do some things as a board and make some decisions, and always to have your input as area directors, vice ADs, and the elected board. It's important for me to know your input on how you would like, if there's something special you would like to see at conference, or that is very important to myself and Sheena also to evaluate and to get to know that information. The next slide.
Janice, if I might just pop in for a moment here. Janice, if you don't mind, Janice touched on bringing pictures and things like that to conference for your AD presentation. What I'm also going to kind of plug a little bit here is also to be sending throughout the year is taking those pictures and sending them to communications. So again, this is another way to help you in turn promote those clubs that you're looking at or you're looking after, and help them recognize and create that link between the clubs and district. So not only are you going to want to have pictures for conference, but also to promote them throughout the year through the our website, our social media platforms, and and also in our e-news that will be continuing forward. So just a heads up that you don't want to wait till August and try to start collecting images. You want to kind of do that throughout the year. So sorry for butting in there, Janice. Sorry.
No, never. And there is a test in July on all this information, just so you're aware. You will be tested.
Thank you.
Spring area workshops. The district manual that we have, they call them area meetings. So we kind of, I say different things. I'm bad at this. I'll say area workshop. I'll say spring workshop. So I'm trying really hard to say area spring workshops, just to keep it so we are all on the same page of what we're talking about. And I got a little messed up this year with e-learning workshops thrown in there for what we're doing this year. The purpose, and I'm sure all of you have been to the area workshops, is to promote the objects and programs of Zonta International and to help the club officers, committee chairs, and members in their roles and for friendships and relationships. Part of this is one of the big things that area directors do is spring workshops. It's in the past history, we've always had 3 workshops. We have it in our bylaws that we can have 2 or 3 spring area spring workshops. That is something as a board we decide how many to have. This current year we were having 3 in areas 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6. And then unfortunately they were all canceled, and that is why the e-learning pieces are broken up to 2-hour segments. But they're one day, as you know, and it's something we need to think about. There's a couple things that we need to think about, but we, of course, we cannot act on any of this because it's not our biennium to start making decisions. But one of the things that for our area spring workshops for 2021, we need to think about, we had 3 this year. The first thing we need to think about is, do we want to have 3 next year, or do we want to have 2? To have 2, it's been suggested by many that you have 1 in Canada and 1 in the States, just because we go from Owen Sound clear down to Washington County. And that's a big area, so to have 2. Another thing that we as a board will have to decide is, we had 3 clubs that spent a lot of time and effort to put off the workshops this year, and were unable to do so because everything was canceled. Do we ask them to, if they want to redo it in 2021, or do we want to go to the 3 that were informed that they were up next for area workshops? It's how the district decides on what club has the area workshops, is that it's just a rolling calendar, and so it's by areas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for example, area 5, 6 has 10 clubs. So technically you would have that club, you would have an area workshop once every 10 years if you were in area 5, 6, and we maintained 3 workshops. It's on a rolling schedule. And through 2021 and 2022, 1 year, for example, I'll use 5, 6, area 5 would have the workshop. The next year, area 6 would have the workshop, even though you're together, but a club would be from area 5 1 year, area 6 the next year. There are some clubs that are unable to, they don't have the facilities close to them to have a workshop, or their club's membership's too small, need assistance, so then we work with that too. But we need to decide if we're having 2 or 3, and to ask the people from 2021 the clubs. That was Brampton Caledon, Oil City Franklin, and Hamburg Orchard Park were to have them this year. So we need to think about if we ask them or go to the next 3 would be Guelph, Grand Island, and Corey. And also once we decide we have 2 or 3 as a board, we do have set aside some workshop dates, and these workshop dates are a first come, first serve, because we can only be in one place at one time. But I do have dates for those already completed of when we would have our workshops, and it's a first come, first serve with the clubs. Whoever notifies the governor first is where your workshop will be. And when I was area director with Miss Sheena Pohl, she beat me out by like 12 hours on getting the date. So, and we're still speaking, so it's okay. But it is. She just thinks she's something special because she beat me out. But I mean, that just happens. But those are some things that we can discuss later in the summer and make decisions on that. With the area workshops, there is the responsibilities that the area director has and what the club is responsible for. And we will go through more in detail. We work together as a board to present the workshops. We have to come up with the ideas, we come up with the program. The club gets, you know, where you see all the lists of the responsibilities of the host club, they get all that information. You assist them, you have meetings with them, but but we come up with the program, and the information in the program is through the board to come up with those ideas. Like this past workshop for spring, we decided to do training. It was more of a training type workshop, which was requested through the conference evaluations. Does anybody have any questions on that overview of workshops?
No.
Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Janice, I do have a question. This is Melinda Johnson. So in
Hi.
deciding which clubs will, if we decide to go with the existing workshop clubs that were this year versus new ones, how will that be determined? Will we just ask those clubs if they want to host it again since they lost out on the chance this year?
Yes, they would. We would ask them first. If that's what we decided, we would ask them if they wanted to host it again next
Okay.
year. And if they declined, then we would go to the next club in line.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be fair to ask them if they'd like to rehost it since they lost out this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miscellaneous catch-all. Just to review the club information items that are over there you've read. Communications. Communications is so important. That's the lifeline to communicate. It doesn't matter how many times you say the same thing. It always comes back that someone did not hear the information, did not see the information. So it's a repetitive process with information. It's very important to keep those lines of communications open between the area directors and the clubs. And when, like, for example, Nancy will send out the dues notifications when dues are due, you know, next spring. What is very helpful and which is requested to do is that she would let the area director know that she sends those out to the club, so she know, you know, that they've received their dues notification. If a committee, advocacy committee, for example, sent information to the advocacy chair of the clubs, they would also notify the area director so she knows what information is also being sent to the clubs, just so you're aware of the information that's going out there, that they come back for questions for you and you don't have to say, well, I don't know what you're talking about, or oh, I didn't see that email, or so it's just that important line of communication. And then there's also the manuals, and there's manuals for everything. And Sheena and I work together, and we're having 2 more manuals for you to be able to give to your clubs to help you. They'll be online on the District 4 website. I sent you the President's Guide, and we did update that manual, and that is something to review and to make sure that your presidents have that information. There's a new one. It's the Secretary's Guide, and it's just to help the club secretaries kind of information with consent agendas, with how to write meetings, minutes to your meeting, just a very what you need to keep as part of the secretaries. So that is that will be online. That is a new manual, so that will be coming online. And then I am working on, I started with the treasurer's manual. Nancy doesn't know this. That I had spoke to Carol Spenning. She's the finance chair for next year, and she's the current finance chair. And she is doing the Fluent in Finance in July for our e-learning. And I talked to her a little bit about the treasurer's manual, and I will send it to Carol and Nancy to review to make sure that everything's in there that they feel needs to be in there. And we'll also have the treasurer's manual to help the club treasurers. We did find a lot that people have a lot of questions. So if it's in the manual, it kind of helps them. They don't have to keep asking the same question over. The manual is there to assist them and help them do their job better.
Janice, I just want to say that is fantastic, because I was looking to see if there was anything, and it's like I have tons of questions, you know, in the transition. So thank you.
There is, Sheena reminded me that there is a treasurer's webinar. It's on the Zonta International website. I have not looked at it. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at it yet. But there is a lot of information to help clubs in the Zonta leadership. Basic information of how to write an email, how to set up your Facebook, how to lead, there's just tons and tons of information. And Kathleen Douglas did review some of that information in our last e-learning, our first one. But if you look on the Zonta International website, there's tons of information there. And some of it is Zonta, but a lot of it is just, that can help you anywhere in your personal life too. There's a lot of information out there to help clubs and help yourself, help everybody. Does anybody have any questions with that stuff? There's just a bunch of suggestions at the back of the book. And then the appendix has all the forms and everything on it that you can look at. It is, Sheena did a wonderful, wonderful job again, Sheena, on formatting the manuals. And it is a working document. So if something does change, or there is some information that isn't in the area director manual that has to do with some of the new, like the biennial goals and projects for next year, because they haven't been voted on yet. They're not in there that we can add to the document. And that will be information that you can give to your clubs too. I also sent you the updated calendar for the next biennium. Just to take a look at that. It has when certain due dates are for the awards and dates and stuff for Zonta International that you can look at. Any comments, questions?
No.
Janice, I have a question, or just clarification on the Zonta International elected board and committee chairs, email and telephone list. Is your
Yes.
telephone correct? Because it's not matching what I had.
I don't have it. What is
Okay,
what
it
is
says,
it?
okay, it says on this list that it's 814-963-1363.
It's
I
nine.
have 9. Go ahead.
It's 9641363.
Yeah, so that's a typo on this list.
Yeah. Of course, it's mine that I typoed.
I just discovered that today, and I thought, oh, I better ask.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just sent those to, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. I sent those to you as a board first to make sure that I had the right information before I send it to the committee chairs. So if there is any typos, I'm gonna have to correct my own, so please let me know. And I know Janet has a different email, so I'll change her email and send you the revised copy when I get all the committee chairs. So you have a revised copy.
I'll make a comment. Even if it does come to the email that's on the sheet, I have both of them, so it doesn't matter. I'll get it one way or the other, okay?
Okay. I have our next meeting scheduled for June 11th. Make sure. June 11th. At probably the same time, 6:30. And we can review, we'll talk a little bit about protocol and communications. Since that's a very important issue, and talk about what we'd like to see moving forward with the website and the area directors space on the website to move forward with our website. And hopefully I'll have the list of committee chairs with all the correct addresses, phone numbers, and I will be able to give that to you. And then I can send the secretary's guide, and then I can, if the treasurer's guide is complete at that time, then I will also send that to you, so you'll have that. Presidents start June 1st. Then their clubs start, their new year is June 1st. We have a little lag, and we don't start officially till the changeover on July 17th. But that doesn't mean that you can't be in contact. We do have to be mindful and respectful of the current board, that we can't be making decisions, of course, and deciding everything. But routinely, after we had, as at my area, when I was an area director, we met in June before conference at Stella, which was canceled this year. But you did contact your new your club's presidents, and let them know who you are. You are the one taking over. And one of the things that is important, and the area directors, the current area directors know too, is to get the list of the committee chairs for each club. It's very hard to pull that information out of a lot of clubs. They do turn in their their treasurer and club president. So we have that information, and that goes to Zonta International. But we also need to know who, if they do have an advocacy service, membership chairs they're supposed to have, but any other chairs, UN awards, that we get the names of those people to make it easier for our committee chairs to be able to contact them individually with information that they receive. So that's a hard thing to get sometimes. I don't know if Sheena will agree with me, but it's hard to get that information sometimes. But we have to work on that. The area directors of the current biennium will be in contact, if they haven't already, to be in contact with you to give you any information that they have on what has helped them, what has worked for them, what they think maybe would be good suggestions for you to do as an area director for the changeover, and talk about each club individually. Nancy, I'm sure that Marcia will be in contact with you with the treasurer information.
Yeah, Janice, we have touch base, so we're
Okay.
in communication.
Good, good. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have one. Where will we find the new president's emails and all the information so we could send out information to the clubs and maybe, attach the treasurer's information and secretaries, etc.
Yeah, I have, that information is still being compiled. They're still turning it in. Zonta International requests it they changed the date till May 22nd. I have a majority of the new presidents and treasurers. There's probably like 9 clubs that I don't have, but once that is completed, I will send you that information. I will get that
Thank you.
information.
That's great.
And then it will be on the District 4 password protected site. And that's where you will also find the roster is on the protected password site. So it will be on
How
our
do we
website
get
too.
the password? How do we get the password?
We have to change the password, but we can't change it till July 17th, and we'll have a new password, and then I will give that password to you. So you'll be able to use, and it's the elected board and committee chairs that have that protected password site.
Okay.
The passwords.
Thank you.
Good.
Sheena, do you have anything to add?
Well, let me see. No, Janice has covered a lot of things. What I may add a piece to it, she just talked about looking at the website at the next meeting we have. So the last 2 years, I revamped the website at the beginning of this current biennium. And it was kind of a trial to see how it looked, how it worked, who used it, who didn't use it. And the intent was to have a lot more input from our committee chairs into the individual pages that they had. They did not really do that, step up to that as much as I had hoped. I am looking at doing some revision to it, especially probably the home page. But what I would appreciate from all of you is any suggestions that you can make, because the current one is not maybe as good for mobile devices, so your tablets and your phones, as it could be. So I'm looking at revising that. But also, as area directors, what would you like to see? How would you like to be able to communicate with your presidents? So one thing that I just didn't get to was to have areas for each of the area directors to have a list of their clubs, to have an area that you could say password protected to go in and put information into that area that the presidents in your area could then, go to the website, go into that area and kind of see what kind of information you have there, or some messages or something like that. That could be a place where you post your newsletters, or maybe you do a blog or whatever it is. So that's kind of one thing that didn't happen that could happen. The other thing is just how, or different areas you would like to see. Maybe there's something that's not on there that you would like to see. Something that's great and you want to see continue, that would be greatly appreciated. As well as the communication piece of e-newsletters or social media. And if you have anything that you would like to see happening, it would be wonderful at the next meeting if you could bring that forward, or even just email me to me directly, as opposed to communications at this point in time. Then we can work on that over the summer, as opposed to, getting this in September and then trying to do a lot of things. So that's just kind of one piece I might add. And the other one from a communication point of view is really stress with the presidents about how to get onto Zonta International, how to get onto my Zonta on international webpage, because that is where that then leads to all of this other wonderful information that Zonta International provides, and that learning, leadership learning area, which has things about how to build better clubs and all those other kind of things. So that's just a piece that I think a lot of the presidents might have been missing out on in the past year. And if you could help communicate that, that would be great. Janice left us. So anyway, those are just kind of a couple of things that I have. I'm just going to say, I, like Janice, I like working on a team approach, and looking forward to working with all of you. And again, I'm new at this as far as the membership piece of things, and we'll be looking to all of you for help and support. I'm hoping to develop a membership committee that will be working with all of you, plus the membership chairs in clubs, and hopefully we can build more of a team approach, or try to break down some of the silos that we have that some of the clubs have created, and see if we can start working together as a big district. So I think at this point, that's all I have to say, Janice.
Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Everybody's surviving, staying inside.
Yeah.
We're in yellow. Janet, we're in yellow. But I thank you so much for spending the time and coming together. I feel like I just talked and talked to make sure that your questions are answered, or if you have any other suggestions, you can email me, let me know suggestions, or if you think of something, you can pick up the phone or email me, since Belinda has my right phone number now instead of the wrong one. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or anything that you need. I just thank you for working through this situation, meeting like this, and working together as a team, as comets, as we will be comets in the next biennium. So that's all I have for right now. So we're done.
Janice, did you explain the whole comet thing?
The comets are each year, each biennium, the governor's orientation, which is usually in February, decide on a name that they would like to name themselves. Our year, we decided to be comets with a Z. Sharon, the international president-elect, is retired from the space and aeronautics engineering. So she that's why she chose transitions, changes, and new opportunities accomplished through teamwork is what she has, her biennium is what she's moving forward with. So we came up with the name, create comets, COMETZ, and creating opportunities, motivating, empowering tomorrow's Zontans. And our pin is a blue comet. Is each governor's class also routinely gets a pin for their special, for their group of governors. And so we're the comets. So I'd like to use that. Some governors use it, some don't. I think that this biennium's group class of governors, we decided that we would use it for our clubs, and so we're comets. For the next 2 years, we will be comets with a Z.
Or a Z?
Z. It took me a long time to figure out what a Zen club was when, when I first started Zonta. It's like, what are they talking about? A Zen. I thought it was Z. What's a Zen? It took me a while to figure that out. Oh, wow. Differences in words. Learn new words. Well, that's all that I have. Thank you again for coming. If you want to stay and chat with each other, that's fine. Or not, you can get on with the rest of your evening. Sure, some of you are busy. Thank you so much for attending and see you in June.
Thank you.
Okay,
Stay
thank
safe,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody
Bye.
be safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting everyone.
We're getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's why you can't see me.
I was going to say, Kat, that's no fair. You got your little secret covering on there.
It's tape.
Tape.
Do you know how many meetings I have constantly? I'm not well. Look at my hair.
Well,
Just a mess.
you've got a big halo behind you.
Oh,
With
yeah.
the light.
See, I have one too.
I know.
Mine?
Janice has the official one because she's at the command center.
Yeah.
And she also has the chaos coordinator award sitting by her on her
Yes.
desk.
I got a chaos coordinator trophy for Mother's Day.
Oh, very nice.
So I am the official chaos coordinator.
That's so cute. Oh, good. I'm sorry I was late. Get a message at 5. Oh, we have a meeting at 6. What? No.
Oh, it happens. It happens.
Everything's okay though.
But we're
Kat?
government. I shouldn't have to do that, huh?
Everything's good though. You're doing all right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's so much, and it's hard to manage people virtually. It's very challenging.
Well, if you have any secret things that you want to tell us, I'll be grateful. Don't do this. So
Right.
yeah. So
I do send a message out every day at around 2:30 that says like get up and move. And then I have some kind of activity for everybody to do, like, find a picture of when you first started in the government, or, make this 5-minute origami craft kind of thing. And it's funny because I send the message, get up and move. Do I? No. I don't. I'm like, so everybody's moving? Yeah, great. And at the end of the day, they have to send me a report of what they did. And I've taken to having them put their steps in. Yeah, I don't put my steps in.
Oh, come on, just make up something.
I could, but that would be wrong.
You take an average of theirs.
All right.
Do you have anybody joining you in meetings when they're, on the treadmill or, on their bike or something like that?
Well, we can't see that because with the government one, we're just using a Skype, and they haven't enabled the cameras. So it's just messaging each other. So it's probably a reason for that. So, but I don't see anybody. I can hear them. We have meetings, we do like conference calls, but can't see them. Yeah.
Well, Kat,
but that was one of the activities I did. I had them take a picture of their workstation, so that was neat. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But,
I was going to ask you if you want to develop any kind of, a protocol thing for online, just because I think this COVID thing might be going forward a little more than we expected, that it might be helpful if we have another manual.
Yeah. But you know what? Manuals are good because sometimes you're sitting there at night and you're like, I wonder how you do that. And it's something you can take yourself and look at it and see what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I love manuals.
Well, and you might
So
have, you'll have a
online,
different
so just,
perspective.
yeah, so just like online protocols.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I had that that document I kind of threw together. I just picked and pulled from a different number of different sources, but I think you had mentioned that maybe we could simplify it a bit. But just, you know, stuff, how to get online, as far as etiquette and muting yourself. And I know sometimes, like even in today's meeting, you're muted, so you might not be as create I don't know, a fun environment, if you will, because people are not just jumping into conversations. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it does help the meeting go forward, and you don't have any of those sidebar conversations or you know, people taking over, hijacking meetings,
Right.
like me, like I just did. But that would be great.
Sheena, Sheena, Sheena.
Janice. So, oh, I know what I did. Shoot. Sorry, guys. Oh, I know.
Oh, you're still recording?